Hello everybody. This video is about getting started for the book. Obviously, you can read everything that I put in the book, but I thought I would focus on a couple things in the getting started pages, which is on page 5 and 6 of the book. What I'm going to focus on today is the scales that will be integrated throughout the book and also the interval sequence that will be part of the book as well. So starting with the scale, I just want to make sure, and obviously we're all different levels when we get books. Some people are going to know exactly what I'm talking about, and some people are going to be brand new to this. So you can skip along if this is something you already know. On page 5, I kind of put a diagram of the scales that will be used. And make sure you understand this. This is very important to move forward on the patterns that you'll be working on. And transposition will be so much easier if you understand, oh, this is the scale I'm using. The first one I'm just dealing with is the major scale. You really need to make sure you know all your major scales going forward. And that's not a step backwards. I don't look at it that way. Just go ahead and practice that before you start. Also, to understand from the major scale, you can play different modes. The second mode is called the Dorian, and that's starting on the second note of a major scale. So for an example, if I was in concert C major and I started on D and I played D, scale all the way up to D again with C major notes, that's your D Dorian scale. Also, if you started on the fifth note of concert C major, that would be G. And if you play G to G with C major notes, that is your G Mixolydian mode. C major is also called Ionian mode. Another scale you'll be dealing with is the minor pentatonic. For example, D Dorian, and if you were to play the D pentatonic scale, you could take those notes from there, and that would be D, F, G, A, C, and that's your pentatonic scale. We have the altered scale, and we have the half-whole diminished scale. And obviously, I wrote them out in one key on this page 5. Make sure you're understanding the formula of that scale and how to take that into another key by just using that as a reference. Major triad pairs and minor triad pairs. And that's strictly what it is. I'm not coming from a major scale. I'm not thinking from a scale by any means. I'm thinking they are triads. And the reason I want you to think that way is because of the sound you're going to receive when you think of two pairs together. Some people call it like a more of a modern kind of approach. You got more fourthy kind of sounds when you think of triad pairs together. Make sure that you take a look at the scales that are being used in the pattern book. Make sure you know them, and that's very important. The second part that I really want to get to today is the interval sequence. Before we start with that, I just want to make sure. Some of you are going to be looking at this and go, I have no idea what that is. And, I want to make sure you understand this is something that's called the circle of fourths. If you were to go clockwise, that is the circle of fourths. A fourth away from C is F, B flat, E flat, and so forth. Circle fifths, you could go counterclockwise, and you will see from C to G, G to D, A, and so forth. That's a fifth away. Some people have seen the circle of fifths written out. Well, I like to make sure you understand the circle of fourths and see it that direction, and I'll tell you in a second why. The other parts that you see in the middle, lines and shapes in the middle, are actually the interval sequences that you're using throughout the book. For an example, if you go straight across from each other on these from C to F sharp, that's a tritone pair. If we go from A to E flat, that's a tritone. G to D flat, tritone. So that's why these lines are in there. If you can see in the very middle, you see this triangle triad here. That is our major thirds away from each other. A major third away from C going up is E, and a major third up from E is A flat or enharmonically G sharp. Another interval sequence you're going to see is a minor third. So we've got D to F going up, F to A flat to B, B to D. These are minor thirds, whole steps from C to D, D to E, E to F sharp, and so forth. Chromatically are all half steps. That's one of these sequences. We got C to C sharp to D, D to D sharp to E, and obviously you can think of it enharmonically C to D flat, D flat to D, D to E flat. And last but not least, the reason why I like to look at this as a circle of fourths is because at the very end of the book, you'll be practicing the 2-5-1 chord progression. When you take a look at the circle of fourths, if, let's say, imagine B flat major was the 1, well, the 2 of B flat is C, and the 5 of B flat is F. So you actually have in clockwise your 2, 5, 1. It's written right in front of you clockwise, and that's a good way to take a look at your chord progressions as a 2 and a 5 and a 1. That's what this diagram here is for, and just to understand the purpose of this book is that you want to internalize these patterns. If you only learn it in one way, one direction, that's not good enough as a jazz player. The whole point of this book to go through all the different interval sequences is so that you master every direction with the patterns. I want to make sure you understand the book is not meant for you to skip around. Part of the title is systematic. The idea is to be very systematic and start with the minor pattern, practice that, and go through the pages, work on it. It's going to take some time. Then go to the altered dominant seventh patterns, and then go to the major patterns, and then go to breaking down, and then go to the 2-5-1s. If you go right to the 2-5-1s, I get it. I have bought books before and I jump around, but I'm not getting the most out of the book then. Happy practicing, and if you ever have any questions, please feel free to email me. Thank you very much.